All right, so listen to this. What if I told you that you being humble is actually not strength? You being humble is actually just another way for you to erase yourself. In this video, we're going to talk about how being humble, how saying that you're humble is actually silencing who you are as a sovereign being. If you're new here, welcome. I am Tamara Tamu. This is Unleashed Alchemy TV. We're on this show. We talk about how you embrace your sovereign being so that you can create and declare what you want in your life. Period. All right. So let's get into today's episode, being humble. So first of all, let me give you this little story, which kind of sparked this conversation. Okay. So I heard a famous speaker in the religious world, in the church world. This speaker would also be called a preacher. Okay. And she was, she was being interviewed. Doesn't matter. Anyway, she was talking and she was saying how she does not like when people compliment her. She doesn't accept when people tell her good job. She doesn't like for people to tell her that she's doing a good job. It makes her feel uncomfortable because she wants to stay humble. She wants to stay humble. Now, if you're like me, and if you are, that's the only reason that you're watching my channel, okay, that you're watching this episode. But you know that that is one of the common limiting stories that religion hands people about how godly it is to be humble. Now, we don't even have to talk about the religious programming part of this. Although I'm going to come back to it. But I want to talk about the definition of the word humble. We don't even have to bring up religion. We can just talk about the definition of the word humble. Okay. So, of course, I looked it up. If you've been here for a while, you know that words are magic. Words are my superpower. And I like to look up what words mean. Okay. We know there's sources and original roots of words, but to get an idea of what we're saying, we go to the dictionary, which is what we have to work with. All right. So the dictionary says that the word humble means low. Low. It means low. It means low in rank. It means low in status, subservient. I'm looking at my notes here. Having a feeling of inferiority. I'm gonna say that definition again, okay? Humble means low in rank, low in status, low in quality. I missed that one. Having a feeling of inferiority, being subservient. Kind of makes you not even want to use the word humble anymore, which by the end of this video, you won't if you are using it. So let's go back to the correlation with religious programming. Okay. So the church religion tells you, first of all, it separates you from your body because remember, it attacks the mind first. And once a system can attack the mind, it already has the body. So when your mind has been attacked, okay, your body has been attacked. You don't even know how to reconnect with your body anymore. So therefore, you don't know how to connect with the true source of who you are. You don't know how to connect. You don't even know that you have a true identity because religion will have you thinking that your life belongs to this God up there. And you have no autonomy in who you are, in yourself, in your identity. Okay? So that's one of the ways why it is so easy for religious people to walk around saying that they're humble people. I can say that because I used to be one of those people. And after I left religion, that humble identity was still operating in my life. I didn't know it. It took me a long time to realize that. And here's where I'm going to pause and tell you that you can leave church, you can leave religion, but that those limiting ideas will still linger in your life. And if you're not experiencing the freedom and the upgrades in your life that you thought you were going to have, if you're not feeling complete sovereign in your own life still, that is because religious programming is still operating. It's still at operation. And there are different ways that I can support you in that so you can really truly experience life after religion and be completely free. Go to my website, unleashedalchemy.com, and there are ways that you can work with me. I have courses and books, all right? And I do have a package where you can work with me one-on-one. Okay, so let's get back in today's episode. So, in church, in religion, being humble was related to being godly, okay? The more humble that you were, okay, the more that you could shrink, the more that you could put yourself last, the more godly that you were, okay? And I would hear people, for those of you, especially those of you that grew up in church, there was a portion in the service that was called testimony service. And I would hear people stand up and they would thank their God up in heaven somewhere for allowing them to be and stay humble. All right. That is nothing to be thankful for. That is nothing to be grateful for, especially after the definition of humble that we just reviewed. Okay. So, and here's what I'm going to say to that. That's interesting too, because even for the most religious person, being humble even goes against their Bible. Why do I say that? Because if you know the Bible tells you, the Bible tells people, the Bible tells its followers, religion tells its followers that they were born and created in the likeness and image of this God. Well, according to this God that's in the Bible, which is a totally different subject, but according to this God in this Bible, the God in this Bible was portrayed as being great, being all-knowing, and was this big force in the sky that was to be feared and worshipped. Well, if you believe that you are made in the image and likeness of this God, that doesn't sound like being humble to me. That doesn't sound, if you're reading this book and this God that you've been told you have to serve, this God is telling you that you have to fear him and worship him every day, that doesn't sound like humble. That sounds like someone pretty sure of themselves. Okay, so let's keep going. Let me continue on with my notes so I don't forget anything here. So let's continue on with this humility, false identity. Okay, this type of limited thinking, it will render you powerless. So we already know, we see a lot of powerless people going to church after church, week after week. This may be jarring for you to hear, but there's going to be millions of people sitting inside a church that are powerless on Sunday. Why do I make that statement? Why do I say that type of being humble, made to feel like you have to shrink and consider yourself inferior, why that is so limiting and damaging and makes you powerless? Because being humble, being in humility is misaligned. with your soul. It is misaligned with your soul because your soul came here to be sovereign. A sovereign being doesn't walk around powerless. A sovereign being walks fully and complete in their power. Even if their logical mind doesn't fully understand what that means, their soul does, your body does. Being humble, well, first let me say this. As a sovereign being is not turning down compliments. A sovereign being first is celebrating themselves. And another thing I wanted to mention too, I forgot this, but another reason why it is so easy for religion to create humble human beings is because the idea of being prideful is used as a fear tactic in religion. And yet at the same time, what do we tell children? Oh, you have to be proud of yourself. That is a confusing message. All right. So I just wanted to throw that out there. All right, let's come back. So being humble means to hide yourself, to not share your story. Being humble means to be silent when you should be loud, when you should be sounding your alarm, which is your voice. Being humble means that you don't even appreciate who you are and the impact that you have had in other people's lives. Being humble means that you don't celebrate yourself because you don't know how to celebrate yourself. You have adopted the identity of someone who does not celebrate themselves. And yes, this can linger on even after you have left the church. Being humble means that you have not celebrated your accomplishments. Accomplishment could mean anything. It could mean something that you have experienced in your life that you are happy about. I don't care if it's starting a business. I don't care if it's that you moved to another country or to another city or to another state. You got the house that you wanted. You bought a new car by yourself. Okay. You now have your own money coming in. Nobody's giving you money. You're living life on your own. That is an accomplishment. I don't care what it is. But being humble says you don't celebrate that. Being humble says that you don't celebrate any changes that you've made in your life. You could celebrate that you used to have hair going down your back and you decided because you made a decision for yourself to cut all your hair off. You did that yourself. It was a decision that you made because you decided to take autonomy over your body. That is an accomplishment. We're not talking about big or small here. An accomplishment is an accomplishment, right? So, like I keep saying, you could still be experiencing this limited identity of a person who is humble, yet you've left the church already, but that identity is still operating in your life. So today, here's what you're going to put into practice. All right. Here's what you're going to put into practice. Here's how you're going to transcend that. No more being humble. We're not doing that. We know what the definition is. That is not who we are as sovereign beings. You're going to start celebrating yourself. When you start to celebrate yourself, there's no such thing as small, medium size, or big wins. There are only wins. You celebrate yourself. If you can celebrate yourself, if you can compliment yourself, it's going to be easy for you to receive compliments for other people. You're not going to view that as, oh my God, I'm being prideful. No, you're accepting who you are as a sovereign being. You're accepting that you came here to be seen on some level. All right. Another thing that you're going to put into practice is to identify the parts of you that you love. If you love all parts of you. And when I say parts, I'm talking about your physical body, Do you love your eyes? Do you love your cheekbones? Do you love your lips? Do you love your beauty marks on your face? Do you love your legs? Do you love your hands, your feet, your breasts, your ass? Yes, I'm talking about physical. I'm also talking about those internal aspects that make up who you are. Are you a funny individual? You make people laugh without trying. Do you love that about yourself? When's the last time you took stock of what you love about you? That's number two. Number three, I want you to do some mirror magic. I want you to do some mirror magic. I want you to get a glass of water. Do you not know that your words can charge water? A glass. Put the water in glass, not a cup, not paper cup, a glass of water. And I want you to speak into that water. I have unlimited favor. I am unlimited favor of the universe. I want you to speak that into your water. Drink the glass. And you're standing in the mirror while you're saying that. You're giving off a frequency. And that is coming right back to you. That is mirror magic in its simplest form. So that's what I want you to do. Take up get into the practice of celebrating yourself. All right. So don't forget, there are ways that I can support you as you rediscover who you are as a sovereign being and you start to embrace it and really walk in it, be it all the time. Go to unleashedalchemy.com. All right. Oh, and also in the comments, leave me your takeaways. I love to hear what your takeaways are. And also, out of the tips that I just gave, which one, or if not all three, which one though are you going to implement? Which practice are you going to implement into your life? We don't have time to be humble. At this point, we don't know what humble means anymore. We are sovereign. You are sovereign. Be sovereign. Until next time.